Righty, so we're going to get into a new setup with Scratch. So what we want to do with the iPad is we firstly want to get a game where we can click on a spot on the screen, or just like touch with your finger rather, and the mouse, and then the cat or your character, whatever you choose it to be, will move to where your finger last touched. And so you just have to kind of just touch in different locations, and the cat will then just move towards where you would be. We can't quite get it with if it's you touch the cat and the cat just goes to wherever you like stays wherever your finger is, because you end up just picking the cat up like this rather than an actual the cat's moving to where your finger is going. So let's get into it. We want this cat to move where our finger goes, so of course we start with when green flag clicked. Let's make it a little bit bigger. When green flag clicked for the whole game, so forever. I'm going to say motion point towards mouse pointer, aka where we put the finger down on the screen. Move 10 steps. Right, and so if I just do that, now it's kind of just going to forever move towards where my finger is. Well, my mouse being down, see how it's spazzing out? Right, stop that. So my mouse being on the screen is the equivalent of you pushing your finger onto the iPad screen. So you can't quite do like it won't demonstrate like a touch and move. But what I don't want it to do is this little thing here where it overlaps and then starts going crazy. To give you an idea to see it a little bit better, and then I just put a weight in here. You don't need to do this, just watch. Okay, so it's stepping towards the mouse. Once it gets here, it kind of moves past and then turns around, and then moves and turns around. So that's why it's doing that little spaz bit, because it's going kind of past it and what have you. So if I change this back down, the way to stop that is to go if sensing touching the mouse pointer, then we're going to say the move, is the opposite of this 10, which would be negative 10. So now if we do this, it just kind of stops as soon as it touches the mouse. Righto. So to give this something to do, we're going to add a new sprite, something to avoid. So I'm just figuring it's going to be a ball. And I'll tell the ball when green flag clicked, probably forever would be good. Forever, motion, move 10 steps, and then I'll say if it's touching the edge, I want it to bounce, but I also want it to not be just a predictable normal bounce. I want it to sometimes bounce up, sometimes bounce like at a funny angle, and so it makes it a little bit more unpredictable. So I'm going to say here, if sensing touching mouse pointer, which we changed to edge, I'll say if on edge bounce, and then I'm going to do this one here. Turn 15 degrees. Now that's a set amount, that's predictable. So we're going to use our green operator section. And there's this one that says pick random. So I'm going to say negative 20 degrees to positive 20 degrees. So now if I just let that ball bounce around, you watch sometimes it bounces up and it becomes a little bit just unsure where it's always going to bounce. Now the bigger I make that number, the more odd that's going to be. Right. And then what I'm going to do is I want to basically see how long I can avoid being touched by this ball. So let's say we'll give it like a touch count and say if I get touched 5 times then it's game over. So in the variables I'm going to make a thing called hit. Okay, so we'll always start it off at 0, so set hit to 0, and then I'll say here if touching, so if, let's push you up a bit, scroll down. Okay, if touching the cat, aka sprite 1, sensing then, touching, mouse pointer down to, I'm already on the cat. That's why. I just clicked on the cat. I want it on the ball. If I put that, no, yeah, I've already put that in the cat. Okay, that doesn't matter. We can do this with the cat. We'll say if touching ball, then if touching ball. No, I'd rather it on the. Sorry, I'd much rather it on the ball. I'll show you why in a sec. So I'll drop that on the ball. Get rid of that. Just move this out. Throw it there. Sorry, I hadn't realised I clicked on the cat. Right, back to the ball. So I'll say here if, and make sure that if finishes before this one starts. Variables, okay. Set hit to 0. Change hit by 1. And then we want the ball to just jump to somewhere random. So we're going to say go to random position. So now, as it follows around, if I touch it. Wait, what are you doing? Why is this not doing nothing? What's happening here? Oh, such a googie egg. Look, it says touching ball. The ball is the ball. It needs to say touching sprite 1. Such a nana. Right, there we go. So now when you see whenever it touches us, it just jumps to somewhere random. Sometimes close by, sometimes further away. But there you go. So what we're going to do is I'll make a timer. And I'm saying if we can last maybe 30 seconds without being touched more than 5 times, we win the game. So how do we make a timer? Well, it's actually fundamentally pretty easy. Let's scroll down here. Okay, so we're going to make another variable. And we're going to call it timer. Yes, I type fast. Right, and I'm going to say when green flag clicked, set, and it says hit, but I'm going to just do drop down and say timer. Set timer to 30 seconds, because I want it to count down. Let me just move that over there. And then I'll say control forever, wait 1 second, variables, change, hit, now timer, by, we want to count down, so -1. So if I run this now, you can see it's counting down up here. Right. Now, we're going to say if timer is, I could say equals, but in case it jumps over 0 for some reason, I'm going to say less than 1, because then if it's -1, it's going to catch it too. So if timer is less than 1, aka 0 or below, I want to say kind of like stop the game, which there should be one down here, stop all. Great, that stops the game. Like, everything will just stop. But I want the cat to say, or the ball to say, I don't really mind, like you won or you lost. So I want to check, did I win or did I lose? So I'll say here, we can use an if else. Let's just chuck that up there. And I'll chuck this there, right to the bottom. And I'll say if, and I always read left to right, so I'll be like, whatever the variable I'm using is, this alligator, and this reads is 2 pieces. The first half is the wide, and then the second half's the pointy, or the first half is the pointy, and the second half's the wide. So you're right. If something greater than this something, then here. So obviously something's are going to be if hit is greater than 4, aka 5 and above, we'll say looks say for 1 second, you lost, try again. Otherwise they would have won, so it'd be like, you won, well done. Right, and it stops the game. So if we run this now, actually, hold on, let's just change this. Set timer to 5 seconds because I'm impatient for testing. Right, so now I got touched once. Oh, touched twice. Well done, you won. Now that kind of popped up on the ball, and it was moving. It's quite hard. So I'm going to shift this code to the cat because it's just to be a little bit easier to read. So I'm just going to drag this out, drop it onto the cat, drop this in the bin, go to the cat. Now I don't need to push this in here with the cat. I'm just going to make it a separate. Right. That. And we're done.